Pose System Pro. So if you're watching this video, you want to know what this about. It's a system that applies an animation based on a specific spot. So here in front of me, I have a spot and it has this animation. So when I get close, the animation gets applied to my palm. And when I get out, it goes back to normal. Normal is basically this system is working on top of the motion matching demo from Unreal Engine. And it gets applied on top of that. This new animation gets applied after the motion matching calculations. And you can choose whether you want a different animation, you want to crouch, or you want just a pose. It will work. And as you can see in the details on the top left corner, I have BP Pose Pro Zone 3 as the current spot. The animation is pose front hand, and the bone filter is spine 01. What's the bone filter? Basically, you can apply the animation of this Pose System Pro from a specific bone. This one is applying from the spine and above, letting the legs and the leaning of the character to be controlled by the motion matching system. And let's say if I apply this same animation but from the roots, like in here, the legs are also affected. But as the character is moving, it looks weird because the legs are still. Now let's say another example will be like you want to make your character kind of hold something on top of his head. You can do it by this, and it's of course using it based on the distance to the spot zone. Or maybe you want to improve some of the behaviors. So by default, this will run, jump, and climb that wall. But let's say you want your character to also kind of try to crouch before jumping to make the flow more natural. You can do it by this. It's just a spot in here that makes your character crouch. So when the character comes running, you'll get that small crouch and jumping. So it looks quite cool, right? Also by default, the falling animation is this one. But let's say you want to be a more dramatic for your players. You can just add an additional spot on the falling. You will get your hands raised. So it works when you're running, walking, or when you're falling. It may work in any other state that you want to implement. For example, in here I'm going to make the character walk and kind of make this pose of trying to balance itself. And let's go back. Or another use case would be you want a specific spot in top of the hill where you want your characters to know they should be looking into for something, for some clue or pathway. You can do it by adding a pose to it. So it lets your character, it lets your players know by the behavior of the character what they should be doing in that spot, which is quite neat and easy to implement. Usually you would have to program some logic in the blueprints to do this, but with this system you just add a new spot in here, select your animation, And that will be it. We have another animations like pointing into some direction. So basically this system doesn't care about direction, it will just apply the animation in the character, and that will be it. It's kind of mixing it with the motion matching. You could have one pose for your hand and immediately next another pose for your hand, and transition between those two really easy. And it's very, very smooth. Remember, this is Pose System Pro on top of motion matching from Epic. Another use case would be you have a rain zone where your character kind of feels like getting wet and it tries to cover itself, because now your player knows that she'll be looking for a hiding spot, somewhere to cover, to protect from the environment. And as you can see, you can get any of the poses immediately. Very neat. This is a stop pose. And let's say you know your player is going to run in that direction. You can make it a bit more fun by adding a pose to it, like this. And when you get farther away, you get your natural movement back. So it's quite fun. And let's say you jump and you want to celebrate, you can do it. Celebrate, yeah, because this guy is cool. Or if you are one of those players that like to flex, you can flex in the top of the hill, showing the other characters that you're the king. Or maybe just the same animation, but only applied to the arm. Saying, yeah, this is a cool system, I guess. It's really fun to implement. Like to make your game more expressive. For example, this is the fall jumping. So if again you want to add some drama to it, you can make a spot in the middle of the jump to make the arms wave around or get raised. It feels really natural. So how does this work? Let me show you the options of the system. These are all the spots that I have. So I call them zones. This is Pose Pro Zone 14. Let's say I want to have a different pose in this specific place of the arrow. We can open the content browser, search for this blueprint, the Pose Pro Zone, drag it on top, align it, and let's say I want to have the running animation, and I want to be applied only for the spine and above, so the legs are controlled by the motion matching system from Unreal. So from this point And below it will be motion matching from this point, and above it will be Pose System Pro. And let's say I want this to get applied on a bigger zone, this animation to be active on a bigger zone, like this. Now let's try it. Here it is. It's not showing the purple character because we have that option to show that character in game or hide it with this option. So if I select it, it will show the preview in game. You can see now it's visible. It's useful for debugging, for designing your level. So let's talk about some limitation of this system. You might want to use it for poses that require that don't require direction, to be aware of the direction of the player, and where you know the other extremities are not being affected or not being used. Like in here, I'm using the legs and it's cool. But if I use this same animation on top of a wall, you will see you will have a bit of an issue there. Let's put it in here. So what about if I put this in here? So now it's the same spot, but since I'm affecting the arms, it will make a weird behavior. Instead of letting the motion matching continue the climbing animation, it will kind of overwrite it when it enters the spot zone. So it's not always perfect, but you might want to find ways on how to apply it. Like instead of putting this animation on the edge, you can center it, and now it should work. It does the animation, and that gets into the zone, and now it applies the running animation. It's about how you want to design your level and how you want your player to react to specific places of your game. So for example, I have 3 hidden spots in here. I will run through them, and you can see it's like dancing, right? You can make your character do all kind of weird gestures or crazy actions while doing something across that specific path. So remember, this is Pose System Pro. And there is more options to implement. I guess I will keep adding functions when users give some feedback. But I want to keep it simple so anyone can use this system. So that's it. Hope you like it and enjoy this system.